Welcome back, everybody, to the Joe Lee podcast. I'm your host, Joe, and today we are doing another edition of Joe's Wrestling Reviews. This time we got a special occasion. We got the Double or Nothing review for May 29th, 2022. Time of recording, the following day. But I just kind of wanted to sit on some stuff, kind of like think about kind of how things unfolded on the pay-per-view. And, overall, I think it was pretty good. There are some issues that we'll touch upon as the show goes on. As you probably heard or saw on Twitter, the big news coming into the pay-per-view is Saturday, AEW was holding the Fan Fest in a convention center near the arena. So they were pretty much like everyone was already in Vegas. And MJF did not show up to his panel at the convention center, and this kind of upset a lot of people, specifically the people that were there in Vegas to meet and greet MJF. And so it was like a really awkward situation, and so it blew up on Twitter. Then Samoa Joe had also missed his signing, but then it was later debunked by, I believe, it was either Brian Alvarez or Sean Ross Sapp, and they were saying that there was a miscommunication about the signing times for Samoa Joe's appearance at the convention, and it was just mismanagement, whereas MJF knew about the time he was supposed to go, and at the time that he was gonna do this meet and greet, and he decided not to show up to the show. So yeah, not great. There were reports of AEW management was trying to contact MJF pretty much the whole weekend, and no one would answer. MJF refuses to answer his phone. So there's some really bizarre stuff going on. There's been like previous reports saying that MJF was feeling disrespected because there was a lot of like, I guess, ex-WWE guys who were getting paid a lot more than he was, and that he felt that that was disrespect towards him because he's been in the company, he's been delivering, to be honest, he is true about that, some of the best television of the year, the last like 2 years, honestly. Everything from the feud with Darby, then they had the CM Punk feud, and then the Pinnacle, the Jericho feud. I mean, the dude has definitely been delivering the best work of his career, and so I kind of understand him saying, like, he feels like he's being disrespected. But then there was a report, and again, this is just a report, that Tony Khan was actually willing to rework his contract, but MJF refused to rework the contract. So I'm a little confused right now, and it's a little in the blank. I have a theory, but I'm not sure. Like, maybe this is like just way stretching it too far. That actually MJF might be upset about creative and his money pay, or just like the state of All Elite Wrestling together. And I'll discuss a little bit more about it when we get to the main event portion of the show. But as you could tell by the thumbnail, I already kind of hooked you in with CM Punk as the champion, and I think some of that has to do with why MJF is upset about his current workplace. So, okay, before we get into the show, we have the buy-in, which was Hookhausen, Hook and Danhausen, versus Tony Neese and Mark Sterling. Hook and Neese start the match, and Neese flexes, but Hook goes for the takedown, and Neese immediately rolls out the ring. Hook tags Danhausen, and Neese offers the first headlock because he doesn't take Danhausen seriously, which, I mean, given their match, that was about a total of 3 seconds. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. They run the ropes, and Neese gets a tackle. They run the ropes again, and Danhausen curses Neese, so he does a little whoosh. He hits a Hurricane Rana, and then And then Danhausen curses Mark Sterling. Neese gets a tackle on Hausen and tags in Smart Mark. Smart Mark tags in Neese again, and then Neese slingshots Hausen to the opposite corner. They work on Hausen together, and then Sterling goes for a leg drop and misses. Sterling tags in Neese, and then Hausen tags in Hook. Hits Neese, hits down Hook. Danhausen gets a tackle, and then Hook lays out Neese with several overhead maneuvers. Hook drags Neese, and then wrestles both like Neese and Sterling because they're both trying to get involved in the ring. And then pretty much like Hook lays out Smart Mark Sterling, and then Hook asks for the pin, and so the crowd like starts asking for Danhausen to be basically tagged in. And so then Danhausen goes and he like puts his foot in like the most lazy way ever on Sterling, and he gets the pin for the win. So Hookhausen, right now they're a comedy duo pretty much, but it's working. It's over. So I can't complain too much about it. I like comedy when it's in the right place, and I feel like this was the perfect place for Hookhausen versus Tony Neese and Mark Sterling. I'm surprised we didn't get another match in the pre-show. Again, things we'll go over later on in the show. But yeah, fun match to get everyone hooked in. Get it? Okay, bad jokes aside, the beginning of the show was actually incredibly surprising. Because we have MJF versus Wardlow. If you've been following the storyline, Wardlow works for MJF, and Wardlow asks for his release from his kayfabe contract. If Wardlow wins, he is free from the MJF contract. MJF looks somewhat reluctant to be here when he comes out. It could be just my assumption, but he definitely had a vibe that he didn't want to be there. Vegas calls him an a-hole, and then he starts doing like little plane motions in the middle of the ring, alluding to a report by Sean Ross Sapp saying that there was a ticket booked in MJF's name from Las Vegas to New York. So yeah, interesting like developments as the weekend pretty much went on, but that was like the big news. People were thinking MJF wasn't going to show up, but I'm assuming that they were able to talk about it and just get the Wardlow match over with. And like, I kid you not, my notes are like non-existent for this match. It went by super fast. Wardlow comes out, he just looks laser focused. I'm surprised they didn't play War Pigs as his entrance, but I guess technically he's in kayfabe. He's still under contract with MJF before the match started, so whatever. Can't do anything about it. I do think that would have been the case, but that should have been the best thing to do. But whatever. MJF rolls out of the ring immediately before the match starts. The bell rings and Wardlow charges MJF, and then he rolls out of the ring again. With his Wardlow turns his back, MJF strikes him, but Wardlow doesn't seem fazed by anything that MJF does. Wardlow goes for the symphony right away, but then MJF escapes, and he starts arguing with the fans. MJF keeps evading, but Wardlow brings him in. Wardlow looks for the symphony, and then MJF bites his head. Again, nothing phases Wardlow, not even like biting his like skin off his forehead. Wardlow flexes. He does the thing when he sticks a tongue out and flexes his muscles, but then MJF spits in his face. They run the ropes, and MJF fakes to be hurt. But then you could see like MJF is pulling the diamond ring from his trunks, and then Bryce Remsburg takes it away from him. Then Wardlow hits the symphony just a bunch of 10 times, I believe, 10 or 12, something like that, and he ends the match. The crowd just loves Wardlow, so they actually ended up taking away MJF on a stretcher, I guess to just try to sell it or whatever. And they put the medical mask on backwards. So if you know anything about respiratory masks, they were on the wrong way. Tony Schiavone comes out, says Wardlow is all elite, and the crowd chants, "You deserve it." Which, I'm not gonna lie, the build for this match, incredible. I think this match would have gone far longer if we didn't have any of the drama that was leading up to this weekend. And I don't think this was a good place for I guess for what they did here, it was fine, it being at the beginning of the show, because you want to get the crowd hot and stuff like that. But, like, man, it was way too fast. And it's almost like they buried MJF, and this may be the last time we see him in All Elite Wrestling. I mean, this was pretty much a write-off if I've ever seen one. There was no FTR. There was no Shawn Spears. Legitimately, no one was there for MJF. So this match went on for maybe 5-10 minutes, and they did not do much. So MJF was just getting beat, and he was getting out of there, and he was on his way to New York. So it was definitely interesting to see this match unfold, and I hope they can work things out, because at the end of the day, I do like MJF in All Elite Wrestling. If he goes somewhere else, I mean, that's on him. There's not much I can say aside from that. I mean, there's other really good stuff going on. That's the good thing about AEW, is that if MJF leaves, it's not the end of the world. I mean, there's other people that can be built up. I mean, the roster is stacked. I mean, just look at your right side of the screen. Look at all those guys. You're telling me that they're gonna miss MJF? I mean, a little bit, but not a lot. Well, they'll recoup. Yeah, let's go straight into the next match. Young Bucks versus the Hardys. Let's see. Footage of Matt and Nick in Vegas as an Elvis impersonator sings a parody of Viva Las Vegas, but Viva Los Super Kicks. The Bucks come dressed out in Elvis-inspired ring attire. The Hardys just come out in regular, like, Hardy Boys ring gear, or Hardy Bros. I don't know why I call them Hardy Bros. Maybe it's because they're not boys anymore. Matt Hardy and Matt Jackson start the match. This is going to get a little confusing. If I scuffed anything, it's probably going to be Matt and Matt, because there's two Matts here, Hardy and Jackson. So, yeah, apologies in advance. Delete versus Elite chants start. So, Matt goes, delete. And then Matt also goes, elite. So, fun little exchange right there. They lock up. Jackson hits a drop kick. Hardy trips up Jackson, and they continue the reversals. Matt Jackson taunts Hardy, and they lock up again. Matt Hardy with the back elbow tags in Jeff. They run the ropes, but Matt Jackson pretty much walks it off. Jeff and Nick in the ring lock up on the ropes, and then there's a shoulder tackle. Nick with some kicks, and then they run off the ropes. Nick Jackson taunts again, and then Jeff hits some elbows as Nick rolls out. Jeff Hardy to the Hardys flex on the Bucks, and then Nick gets sent to the outside. The Bucks regroup and try to strategize. They're kind of in a huddle on the outside. Nick goes back in the ring, and then Matt Hardy is the legal man. They run the ropes, and Matt Hardy gets a tackle and turns it into a suplex. Nick tries to interfere, but gets vertical suplexed on his brother. Matt and Jeff try to hit a tag team move, but the Young Bucks hit an enziguri on Jeff as he's propelling off of Matt Hardy's back. Then Matt Jackson hits a super kick. Jackson stomps on Jeff Hardy and then drags him into the corner. He tags in Nick, and then Nick hits a senton. Jeff tags... Nick tags in Matt Jackson, and then Jeff hits a lariat and on both Matt and Nick Jackson. Jeff goes for the tag, but Cutler trips up Matt Hardy, Nick looks for the Whisper in the Winds and misses. And then Jeff Hardy hits the same move on him. So, again, alluding to that the Bucks are just copycats of the Hardy Bros. Jeff gets a tag, and then Matt and says Matt into Nick Jackson. Into the corner, and then they start like slamming his head, and then Matt Jackson tries to get involved, and then he gets slammed in too. Cutler tries to get involved, and the same thing happens. Matt Hardy with a side effect gets a 2 count, and then Nick gets a kick in and hits a springboard maneuver, and Matt takes out Nick. Matt Hardy takes out Nick. Nick Jackson looks for a move on Matt Hardy, but then Jeff gets a drop kick in, and then Nick super kicks Jeff, and then Nick hits a swanton on both his brother and Matt and Jeff Hardy. Nick with several maneuvers strikes on Matt Hardy. Matt says, "Come on, B-word." And then Nick hits a running knee and tags in Matt Jackson. Nick hits a swanton, and Matt goes for the cover, but only gets a 2. Matt drags Matt Hardy into the corner, and Hardy escapes, and then Matt Jackson accidentally hits a super kick on his brother. They exchange moves on the outside, and both go down. Both Matts are back in the ring, and Matt Hardy tags in Jeff. Hardy hits Poetry in Motion and looks for their finishers, and then the Young Bucks reverse into a stomp on Matt Hardy, and then they hit, and then Matt looks for a Spanish Fly. Jeff looks for a Swanton Bomb, and Matt Jackson hits a Twist of Fate for 2. Young Bucks look for the BTE Trigger and miss. Jeff then gets super kicked, and they follow it on Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy encourages Jeff. Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy encourage the Young Bucks to super kick them again, and then the Hardys get up and continually keep asking for more. They do like a super kick party on both Matt and Jeff, and then the Young Bucks do super kicks in unison on the Hardys, and the Hardys still kick out for 2. Cutler sets up the metal ladder on the outside and tries to get Jeff to be slammed, but after like a quick exchange between both teams, they end up setting up Matt Jackson inside of the on the ladder. Jeff hits a swanton bomb on the steel steps, and Matt Hardy hits a Twist of Fate for 2. Matt with the side effect on Nick Jackson and a Twist of Fate, and then also hits a Twist of Fate, and then Jeff Hardy hits the swanton. They get the 3 count, and they win. Yeah, there was a lot that happened in this match. Surprisingly, it wasn't fast. Like, you could definitely tell that the Young Bucks slowed down their pace to help out the Hardys. To me, this is a non-issue. I've been hearing other people say, "Oh, well, Young Bucks didn't do as well this time." It's like, no, they slowed down for the Hardys. The Hardys are old, man. You can't come at me and say that this match wasn't good simply because of like the age. Yes, they're decaying in ring wise, but that doesn't mean this was bad. I mean, I'm not gonna give it a 5-star or a 4-star either, but it was definitely like a 3.5. Good match by both these teams. The one thing that I don't want is if the Hardys need other teams to slow down for them, I don't want them to win the tag titles. There are other teams right now that need it a lot more. And I just feel like this storyline isn't where we're supposed to be going. And this is going to kind of become a theme of the show, where I disagree with a lot of the booking decisions that are coming up. Do I think the Young Bucks needed this? No, they're the Young Bucks, and we're going into Forbidden Door next month, and we're probably going to get some Bullet Club versus the Undisputed Elite storyline. So I don't think the Young Bucks needed it, but the Hardys also didn't need it either. So for me, it could have gone 50-50. Yeah. TBS Championship match. This is where things are kind of weird for me, because this match came out of total left field, wasn't even supposed to be on the show, but they used it as a means to something else, and I guess I'm okay with that. We'll explain it as I tell you what happens in this match. But coming into the show, I didn't feel this match needed to take place. After watching everything, I still think that this didn't need to take place here, but I understand that they wanted to give all the important surprises to people who are buying the pay-per-view. So yes, there's some surprises at the end of the match. Okay, Anna Jay comes out in her original ring outfit, the star of the show. So she's kind of like a magician girl sort of outfit. Not like dark magician girl like from Yu-Gi-Oh, but more of like a Vegas like magician girl type of vibe. Jade comes out from the Cody Vader and is accompanied by showgirls, and her faction, the baddies, are ringside. So, all right, arm and elbow tie up. Jade drives Anna to the corner. Then she drags her to the opposite corner as well, and then Anna gets a boot in. And then she tries to go for a running crossbody and misses. They run the ropes again, and Anna misses a Queen Slayer on Jade, which is her signature maneuver. And Jade is able to reverse it out into a power slam. Jade uppercuts Anna, and then she suplexes her, and then does a kip up. I've been saying nip up. My bad. Kip up. Jade with a top rope hammer strike, and then Jade strikes Anna into the corner again. She does the little basketball slam into the corner, splash into the corner, and then goes to the top rope. Anna trips her up, and then superplexes Jade into the canvas. Jade charges twice at Anna, but Anna is able to dodge and get some control. Anna hits a net breaker from the top again, and then slams Jade into the steel steps to the outside. The baddie section interferes, but Anna gets a double DDT on them. This gives Jade time to get a big boot in, and Anna reverses into... and then Jade looks for the Jaded, and then that is reversed into a roll-up for 2. Smart Mark Sterling comes out and brings a crutch, and the referee gets distracted. Anna uses the crutch instead and hits Jade Cargil, but only gets a 2. Johnny Hungy comes out and suplexes Smart Mark Sterling, and that's pretty much the last we see of him. Jade hits the Eye of the Storm and sets up for Jaded. Anna reverses Jaded into Queenslayer, but then Jade powers out and gets a rope break. Jade splashes, but no one's there. Jade looks for the top rope, but Jade trips Anna. Then Malcolm Bivens comes out. Malcolm Bivens comes out and distracts Anna Jay. This allows Jade to set up an avalanche Jaded, and she gets the win. Post-match, Statlander comes to save Anna Jay from the baddie section, and then Velvet and Chris Statlander face off. Then you could see Jade saying, "There's only 2 of you, and there's 3 of us," and then a music hits. I couldn't really distinguish the music too much, so I can't really tell you the vibe, but it was Athena finally making, or Ember Moon in WWE, and she is finally making her AEW debut. So we're setting up for a feud between Athena, Anna Jay, Chris Statlander versus the baddie section. But then Bivens ends up breaking it up, kind of like a business, save it for a show or something like that. Stokely Hathaway is Malcolm Bivens' new name. It's going to take a little bit of time for me to adjust to that. Patience, please. Athena debuting here is fine, I guess. You want to put it in the pay-per-view. You also wanted Stokely Hathaway to debut here because you're trying to give people who are buying the pay-per-view the most bang for your buck. I do think that the Stealthily Hathaway could have maybe happened on Dynamite. I actually feel everything here could have happened on Dynamite, but I understand why they did it. They want to surprise people and give them their money's worth. Triángulo de la Muerte versus House of Black, or Death Triangle versus House of Black. This was kind of crazy. There was just a lot going on. I have some notes here, but they're incredibly scuffed. And if you want to actually go out and really enjoy this match, I'd recommend watching it, because whatever I say here is not gonna do it justice. It was a lot of what you were expecting. A lot of flips, a lot of chops, a lot of strikes, a lot of tagging in, tagging out, a lot of power bombs. You know, we even got several spots where Brody King was doing some aerial maneuvers, and I mean, when he did the tope con hiro, it was weird because he botched it. Like, half of his back landed on the ring apron, but you could see like everyone was trying to get like towards the edge of the ring. It looked weird, but I mean, seeing a huge guy like that, almost like 300 pounds, flying in the air like that off a tope con hiro is crazy. You know, after the spot, House of Black kind of bump into each other. Kicks by Death Triangle. Pax hit a midsection kick on Black. They follow it with a brainbuster on Black. Matthew breaks it up and then fights the Lucha Bros on the apron. Penta hits a Canadian Destroyer on him and takes out King with the DDT on the outside. Death Triangle surrounds Black, and they all super kick Black. And then it was almost like Death Triangle was going to choke this match, because they try going for individual maneuvers on Black, and Black is able to dodge them, and he hits I can't recall what his finisher is called here, but in WWE it was called Black Mass. So he hits Black Mass on both the Lucha Bros after they try hitting their finishers on him. And then Pac is able to dodge the Black Mass from Malachi Black. Let me see. Matthews saves Black, hits, and then he goes for, Pac goes for, like, is looking for the Black Arrow. Thank you. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I got stuck on that. The lights go out, and you know, it was what everyone was expecting, but it still got a major pop. And so when the lights come back on, it's Julia Hart, and she's like decked out in like all black. She's got like the OG Malachi black eye on her, because you know now Malachi has like face paint pretty much everywhere. And she hits the black mist on Pac, and then he ends up like falling over. He ends up like being on his feet, and then Malachi hits the Black Mass, and they win. So now House of Black is Brody King, Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Julia Hart. Brian Pillman Jr. actually tweeted out after this that I knew that there was no saving you, in reference to Julia Hart, obviously. So fun match. Go watch it. Lots of flips. If you're into that, great match. Owen Cup men's final. Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe. Adam comes out in Owen-inspired pink and white gear. Samoa Joe comes out in normal ring attire and does not carry the ROH television title, which was weird to me. Arm and elbow tie up into a wrist lock on Cole. Joe avoids all the flippy stuff as Cole's trying to escape. Kind of just takes a step back. We get Owen chance, and both starts to lock up again. But Joe pushes Cole into the corner. Cole tries to provoke Joe, and then Joe starts hitting him with like right punches. He follows it up with chops and headbutts, and then drives Cole into the corner. Slings him to the other side, splashes on him, and then hits a Pele kick. Joe picks him up and then uppercuts Cole and taunts, "Come on, baby," and then delivers and continues delivering the right hands. Cole with some strikes. Cole strikes him up and then runs to the corner and hits a massive elbow. Joe hits a massive elbow lariat on Cole. Joe and Cole go to the outside and Joe chops him around. He manages to hype up the crowd and gives Cole a window to hit a super kick and drives Joe into the corner. Joe seems to be hurt in his shoulder area, and then Cole and Joe go back into the ring. Cole seems to be in control of the match. He taunts the crowd and delivers a right, and then they exchange strikes, and Cole targets the shoulder once again, and then twists the arm using the rope. So like the arm is like kind of caught in the ropes. Cole gets a lock on the arm, and then ends up just kind of like trying to slam it into the ground. Cole looks for the Panama Sunrise, and it is reversed into knees in the crotch area, so he gets up the knee. Cole rolls to the outside, and when Joe tries following it up with an enziguri. Joe hits an STO near the corner and delivers rights on Cole. Then Joe hits a boot and follows it up with a senton, but it only gets a 2 count. Joe gets a power slam in, but only gets a 2. He picks up Cole and tries to power bomb him, and then Cole ends up escaping and hitting a blindside kick. He runs the rope, but Joe hits a clothesline on him. Joe gets him up on the top rope to set up the muscle buster. Gets kicked instead. Cole looks for the Panama Sunrise once again, and it misses, and then gets another kick in for a 2 count. Cole strikes Joe and hits backstabber, and again only gets a 2 count. Cole gets yes lock in and super kicks, and Joe power bombs him and only gets a 2, but then immediately turns it into an STF. Cole looks for the rope break and gets it with a foot. Fish comes out and interferes, but Joe lays him out again. Joe chops Cole, and then Cole gets several kicks in, and then this allows Cole to hit the boom, and he is the winner of the men's Owen Cup final. Going in, I was pretty 50-50 about the decision. It's one of those things where, like, as soon as both the men came out, I knew who was winning based off of the ring gear. And in all honesty, I would have preferred both come out in pink and white or black ring gear, because it would have made it a little less obvious. When Cole won the match, I sort of knew that the result of the coming match, but I mean, it's fine. Cole winning, I was fine with. I do think that these tournaments need to be used to build up younger guys or people who are trying to transition from mid-card to main event. Adam Cole doesn't fit that bill simply because he's already challenged for the AEW championship and failed. And now he's won this tournament, but what purpose does it serve that he's won the tournament? Where is this going next? And we'll get a little more into the purpose of the tournament after this next match. Okay, Owen Hart Foundation Women's Final. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Ruby Soho. Rich Ward, which is the guitarist for Fozzy, comes out and plays DMD's intro. Quite cool. I liked all the riffs. And then Rancid actually comes out and plays Ruby Soho's theme, which was even cooler. Here's the thing, though. Actually, I'll save that for later because I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it and you're watching my review as sort of like to fill in for that. Arm and elbow tie up. Crowd is quite split between DMD and Soho, so there's a lot of chants for both. DMD with the takedown, but Soho escapes. They tie up again, and DMD gets in control. They continue to exchange and reverse locks from each other. Ruby maintains wrist control through all of this, and DMD is like desperate to escape it because Soho seems to be getting all these locks in while she reverses them. They run the ropes, and DMD gets a right in. DMD sends Soho to the corner and stomps her down. Soho gets a counter on DMD and uses the ropes to strike her. DMD rolls out, and then Soho hits a senton from the apron. Soho brings her back in, and then they run the ropes, and then DMD trips her up. DMD drags her down and stomps Soho again. Britt taunts the crowd and then uses the ring post to strike Ruby's ribs. So she goes to the outside. Soho's on the inside. She grabs her arm and her leg and then pulls, and the ribs hit the ring post. She then stomps on her head, trash talks her, and then Soho tries to escape all of this with some strikes, but DMD gets a headlock and uses the elbows to like hammer her down, almost Daniel Bryan-esque. Soho strikes DMD and then chops her, follows it up with a sit-up power bomb, and then follows it up with more elbow strikes. DMD manages to get the control of the match back. DMD looks for the Panama Sunrise or the Pittsburgh Sunrise. Soho counters it. She goes to the top and looks for a vertical suplex, but can't reach for... gets the vertical suplex, but can't get the pin, as both are laid out. They get up slowly and they strike each other. The crowd goes ooh ah, and then they both actually end up going down. Ruby tries to look for no future, but DMD, and it's reversed. DMD looks for curb stomp and misses again. And then they go to the top rope. DMD slams her down, then hits the curb stomp and only gets a 2. Then she taunts for the lockjaw, so she puts on the glove. Looks for lockjaw, but Ruby escapes only to fall for it again. And then she manages to reverse it into a pinfall, hits no future, and then she looks for the sharpshooter. And oh my goodness, this was the ugliest sharpshooter I've ever seen in my life. Please never use it again. No offense. She can't hold it due to her ribs, so maybe that's why it looks so ugly. Soho looks for a splash and misses. DMD looks for a splash and misses in the corner. Soho goes for the roll-up, and DMD reverses and gets another roll-up, and then gets the 3 count. So DMD is the winner of the Owen Cup for the women's side. Then DMD goes and offers her hand for a hard-fought match to Soho. Soho accepts, and then she gets out of the ring. If you watched it, as soon as Britt came out in the gear, you knew. And that was the problem, is that they did not coordinate the ring outfits for every participant. If you're going to have this tournament and there's a clear theme to it, and then both of the winners come out in the theme gear, and the losers don't come out in matching gear, it's a dead giveaway. It's a dead giveaway of what's going to happen. This is Wrestling 101. A kid could have analyzed this for me. So this is what upset me, is that Adam Cole and Britt Baker are the ones who want it, and there's seemingly no purpose to why they want it. I talked about this a little bit. Maybe I didn't, actually. I don't think I did. But on Rampage, it was Chris Statlander and Ruby Soho. And the winner moves on to the next round. And they had a great match. And Vegas was not having it that Ruby Soho beat Chris Statlander. So, I mean, I know Chris was not in the tournament to begin with. But, man, she is over. I don't understand why she wasn't the one to win, especially after she changed her gimmick. this would have been the perfect stage for her to advance to the next level. She's always been solid, but this would have brought her up to the next level. And I feel like they missed the mark on the tournament. Okay, now we're gonna go over the coronation of the winners of the Owen Hart. Martha comes out, escorted by Tony Khan, and she hugs him and thanks him. Martha thanks Las Vegas crowd, and Las Vegas crowd ends up thanking Martha with some chants. She starts to talk about how the tournament exists to honor the late and great Owen Hart, and says that he can once again be celebrated in the squared circle. She thanks Tony Khan, Chris Jericho, Dark Side of the Ring, Pro Wrestling Tees, her family, and the foundation, and specifically the fans. She says that this is the coronation of the new King of Hearts and the new Queen of Hearts, so that's what we're calling the winners of this. Martha pulls out the men's belt and gives it to Adam Cole. Very beautiful belt. It's in the thumbnail. It's small, so I might put it up here just to show it off. And then gives the women's belt to Britt Baker. DMD says some kind words into Martha's ears. You can kind of make out what she was saying. And then she presents the Owen Cup, and both their names will be etched in the cup. So we'll see it probably next year with their names on it. So your new King and Queen of Hearts are Adam Cole and Britt Baker. Like I said, it was dead giveaway who was going to win when they came out for their matches. I just wish they would have done black and pink ring attire for Samoa Joe, and maybe some of that. Ruby Soho has really complicated ring gear because there's just a lot going on with her ring gear. But I don't find it to be out of the possibility that they could have made Ruby Soho black and pink gear. Like, you're pouring thousands of dollars into this new TNT championship, but you can't put some of this money into some continuity for the ring attire. I mean, I know I'm harping on this, but like, it was just so obvious. All right, this was my break match. I'm not gonna lie. This pay-per-view was like about 5 hours long if you started watching from the pre-show. This is one of those things where I wish it was on the pre-show. On the pre-show or on Dynamite or on Rampage. Just anywhere but here. American Top Team, Men of the Year, Paige Van Zandt, or Scorpio Sky, and Ethan Page, versus Frankie Kazarian, Sammy Guevara, and Tay Conti. They come out with the UFC belts that they stole from the Top Team facility that we saw. I can't remember if it was on Dynamite or on Rampage. This feud is so unimportant to me. The stipulation is if American Top Team wins the match, then Scorpio and Sammy can't challenge for the TNT Championship as long as Scorpio Sky is champion. I mean, it was not horrible, but like, it was just a very boring mixed tag team match, and Paige Van Zandt didn't do anything like crazy. She's like nowhere near ready. Mega green. Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti, mad annoying, but they leaned into it for the crowd, so it's not like they were doing anything like too crazy. There was a lot of dissension between Frankie Kazarian and Sammy Guevara. The one spot that I did enjoy from the match is when Sammy super kicked Tay Conti. I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, American Top Team wins. I believe Scorpio Sky pinned Frankie Kazarian, and now they can't challenge for the championships. I mean, I wouldn't have minded Frankie Kazarian challenging, but man, the whole Sammy Guevara deal is just so worn out. I mean, people are asking for Miro to come back, but what? He's gonna come back to lose to Scorpio Sky? Like, I just feel like that's not it. And Miro had done such a good job when he was the TNT champion that I feel like it's time to move him on to the main event scene. He's going to make a great challenger for whoever the champion is, and so that'll be good for him. Is he gonna win? Probably not, but I think it'll be cool for him. All right, match of the night, probably AEW Women's Championship match: Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa. Rosa keeps honoring Mexican tradition, comes out with a hand-stitched outfit that also has like flower patterns on it. Hard to describe. Just go watch it. Her actual like in-ring gear was also very Mexican patterned. It was kind of like a see-through type of thing, but yeah, anyhow, just go watch it or go look at pictures on Twitter. Arm and elbow tie up. They drag each other around the ring, so they're both kind of like furious at each other. Crowd chants for Rosa. They roll out of each other's locks and show each other respect. They lock up, and Rosa drives Deeb down looking for the pin, but nothing works. They continue the reverses on each other, and Deeb hits a kick. Rosa gets a tackle off the ropes, and then they continue running the ropes. Arm drags by both Rosa and Deeb. Deeb hits an uppercut, but it's countered. They both try roll-ups on each other, but then Rosa ends up just like slapping her across the face. Rosa sends Deeb to the outside. Deeb sends Rosa back into the ring, and then ends up hitting like rope-assisted neckbreaker on Rosa. Deeb uppercuts Rosa again and sends her to the top rope, and then Rosa punches her way out. Then Deeb gets a lock in, and Rosa arm drags Deeb. Deeb gets up, and they continue to exchange strikes and chops. Deeb bounces off the ropes and hits a lariat. Rosa then power slams Deeb and sends her to the middle turnbuckle. Rosa splashes the corner and hits double knees. She runs the ropes into a drop kick and transitions into a Northern Lights suplex. Crowd chants Thunder Rosa and looks for then she looks for a move. They continue to reverse all these moves from each other. Deeb finally gets the octopus lock in, but then Rosa's able to escape it. Deeb looks for a top rope flip maneuver. I couldn't quite describe what it was. Deeb looks for her finisher, which is the Deeb Talks. There we go, and reverses it into. And then Rosa reverses it into a yes lock. Deeb tries to roll Rosa up for a pin and fails. Deeb escapes and looks for a stretch maneuver. Rosa rolls out and slams Serena Deeb's knee into the canvas. They both run the ropes and both hit lariats on each other. The crowd, they're both laid out at this point. The crowd starts chanting "Si se puede." Shout out to all my Spanish-speaking guys over there in Las Vegas. Serena Deeb goes to the top and hits a maneuver, and then gets a figure four leg lock in the hold. They start like striking each other, and then like both try to like roll out of the hold. Deeb hits a dragon screw on the ropes, hits Deeb Talks, and then Rosa gets her foot on the ropes. Deeb looks for the Serenity Lock and cannot get it. Rosa hits a power bomb on Deeb, but then Deeb tries to look for the clover leaf, but Rosa ends up getting a rope break off the clover leaf. Deeb once again looks for Deeb Talks and is rolled up, and then Rosa gets a kick in. Rosa charges the corner, misses Deeb, and then Deeb goes for the top rope. Rosa meets her there. Rosa hits a superplex, but then floats it into the Fire Thunder Driver for the 3. Awesome match by these two. I knew coming into the match that this was going to be one of my favorite matches. Thunder Rosa might legitimately be my favorite wrestler right now. She is so good at everything she does. The outfits, the presence, the mic. I don't understand why we're not giving her more mic time. Hands down, she's doing some of the best work ever. I totally get it. Before, I didn't used to understand the hype for Thunder Rosa. I'm all in on Thunder Rosa. So, great match by both of these two. I'm not doing it justice. You gotta go watch it. It was the best technical match in the show, by far. And that's saying a lot, because there's a lot of good matches here. Anarchy in the Arena. Blackpool Combat Club. Santana and Ortiz. Eddie Kingston versus the Jericho Appreciation Society. Justin Roberts announces that stuff is about to hit the fan. Obviously, he used more colorful language, but try not to reiterate that. Anything goes, and the pinfall must be in the ring. Jericho Appreciation Society, comes out in all matching white outfits, with the kind of like a gold like JAS logo, so they all turn around in unison. They almost look like a boy band out there, not gonna lie. Then Blackpool Combat Club and company come out, and Jericho Appreciation Society, I'll just say JAS, charged them while Wild Things was playing, and Wild Things never stopped playing, which was hilarious. They fight all over the arena. I mean, the beginning of the match is just hard to keep up with as far as like note taking. But I do have some not bullet points, but I have some points here to make about the match. Kingston makes one of the 2.0 guys bleed. Jericho unplugs the music. Proud and powerful drive Hager through a table. Mox uses the panning camera to slam it on Jericho. Matt Bernard gets doused in mustard. Garcia pile drives Ortiz into the steel step. Danielson and Mox hit Angelo Parker and Chris Jericho. Garcia then goes to beat up Kingston on the merch stand. Yes, they went into the merch stand. Mox throws a cooler, so he legitimately opens the cooler, checks to see if there's drinks, closes the cooler, and just yeets it on Chris Jericho's face, and it was hilarious. Garcia and Kingston fight around fans, and then Garcia drags Kingston like pretty much by the neck using some sort of like wrist wrap. Jericho gets the walls of Jericho on Mox, and then like a table breaks. It must have jumped time because Mox ends up unscrewing a turnbuckle. Then Hager suplexes Danielson on the ramp. Kingston drags Garcia. We cut to Mox using the turnbuckle on Jericho. Danielson uses the other turnbuckle on Hager because he unscrewed multiple turnbuckles, as it seems. Santana and Ortiz fight 2.0 by some tables. Jericho uses the like a chair on Jericho, and then on Mox. I said Jericho twice, my bad. Power and Powerful bring out a ladder and set it up between the two tables. Moxley brings out a barbed wire. Pride and Powerful climb the ladders and hit frog splashes on 2.0. Jericho uses the fire extinguisher on Mox. Someone has to come out and clean his eyes out. And pretty much everyone is down at this point. Hager and Danielson start getting up in the ring, followed by Mox and Jericho, who get in the ring. They strike each other, and Mox gets the hammering elbows and then transitions it into a lock. Eddie Kingston comes out from the main stage, and dude is like drenched in blood. Fantastic visual. And he comes out with like a container of gasoline, and then dumps it on Jericho while Danielson has the lock. And then Danielson like steps aside and then pulls Eddie Kingston, and they start fighting each other until like Moxley comes and separates them. Then Jericho gets a chair shot in on Moxley. Hager sends Moxley into the barbed wire. Jericho hits the Judas effect and uses the turnbuckle to hit Danielson, but again only hits a 2 count. Danielson gets the yes kicks and then hits a Busaiku knee on Hager and Jericho. Jericho's holding a chair, so he got hit by the chair as well, but only manages to get a 2 count. More yes kicks in, and then Danielson says he's going to kick Jericho's face in. He used a lot more colorful language with the F word in there. And then Hager uses a bat to hammer Danielson in. Jericho gets the walls of Jericho combined with Hager choking Danielson out. and it legit looked like the same maneuver that Danielson had done to Justin Roberts during the Nexus days. This makes Danielson fade, and Jericho Appreciation Society wins the match. Fun match. Not much I could say. I mean, I tried getting it as many bullet points in as I could about what happened, but I mean, they lived up to the name Anarchy in the Arena, because it was crazy. It was everywhere in the arena. All right, backstage promo, or just a promo in general. It wasn't even backstage. Andrade, who is now married to Charlotte Flair, and they're on their honeymoon, so obviously this was pre-recorded, says he no longer wants to be a loser and doesn't want his business full of losers either, and announces that Rush is all elite. And then they do the Los Ingobernables pose. So, like that. I'm hyped, because now we're going into Forbidden Door build, and I better see Naito. I know Naito is suffering an eye injury as of 2 weeks ago. So whether or not we're going to see Naito in action is really up in the air, but I wouldn't doubt that we see something. I would love to see Naito, Rush, and Naito, Rush. I think Bandido was part of the original LIG, Los Ingobernables. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would love to see Rush, Andrade, and Naito all back together on AEW television. Just kind of a throwback to the original LI days. So that'd be cool. They've done the Los Ingobernables pose, and I wouldn't be opposed for there to be a Los Ingobernables faction in All Elite Wrestling. Backstage, American Top's team says that they're happy the feud is over. Scorpio Sky asks who's next, and then Dante Martin steps up to the plate. Sure, it's going to be a great match. Both these guys are high-flying and good at what they do. It's going to be a great Dynamite or Rampage match. They didn't announce for when. All right, AEW Tag Team Championship match. Team Taz versus Swerve and Lee versus Jurassic Express. I love Swerve's and Lee's theme. It's hard not to jam out to them. Starks and Hobb steal the titles before the introduction of the match. The match starts with everyone fighting each other and then going to the outside. Jungle Boy hits a dropping elbow on Swerve. Swerve tags on, I believe, Jurassic Express hits a dropping elbow. Swerve tags himself in off of one of the Jurassic Express guys and rolls up Starks to hit the tijeras. Stark tags in Hobbs and Swerve. Stark tags in Hobbs. Swerve is able to strike Hobbs, and then Hobbs ends up hitting a lariat on him. He sends Swerve to the corner, and then Lee tags himself in. Lee and Swerve show some tag team coordination by hitting several moves on Hobbs. Hobbs gets rolled up for 2, and then Jungle Boy tries to break it up. Jungle Boy and Swerve argue, and this allows Hobbs to get some offense in on Jungle Boy. On Swerve before Jungle Boy tags in. Jungle Boy sends Swerve to the outside, hits 2 tope suicidas, and then Lee and Swerve attack Jurassic Express on the outside. Lee power bombs Jungle Boy on Luchasaurus. Hobbs tags himself in and suplexes Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy tries to chop himself out but can't. Then Hobbs tags out to Ricky. They run the ropes and they hit a tilt-a-world backbreaker. They run the ropes again, and Jungle Boy gets a kick to no avail, but then Starks kind of gets wrist control on Jungle Boy, and he starts walking the ropes, but then Jungle Boy kind of trips him up, and then Hobbs is in the range, so he's able to tag in on Starks. I'm sorry, I lost myself in the notes. Swerve's and Hobbs, I mean, Swerve's and Hobb fight. Swerve makes sure that Jungle Boy can't tag out to Luchasaurus by sweeping the leg of Luchasaurus. Swerve uses the chest of Keith Lee to hit a moonsault. So basically he winds up, he bounces off the corner, and then he bounces off Keith Lee's chest to hit a moonsault, which was crazy. They get back in the ring, but Hobbs gets kicked after several powerbomb attempts. Lee lifts up Hobbs, and then Hobbs escapes and hits Swerve with a vertical suplex. Swerve has to tag out to Luchasaurus, and Luchasaurus chops Hobbs. Swerve is sent to the corner, and then Ricky jumps on Luchasaurus, only to be driven into Hobbs. Then Luchasaurus splashes the corner. Lee tags in. Then all like three of the big men are in the ring. They strike each other, and Luchasaurus gets some kicks in and looks for the double choke slam, but then Lee and Hobbs cooperate to choke slam Luchasaurus. Hobbs and Lee run the ropes, but Lee gets an exploder suplex and sends Hobbs to the outside. Lee then runs the rope and hits a tope con giro, so again flying big men, and rolls in Luchasaurus. Bask in his glory chants, and then Luchasaurus gets up. They exchange strikes. Luchasaurus looks for the fireman's carry on Lee and then slams him down for a 1 count. They face off again and exchange right hands. Hobbs goes to the top rope and hits a neck breaker on both Lee and Luchasaurus. Stark tags in off of Lee, and then Jungle Boy tags in. Starks rolls up Jungle Boy, and then Christian Cage breaks it up, but then Jungle Boy checks on Christian Cage and gets hit with a spear for 2. Starks hits Rochambeau, and then Luchasaurus breaks the count. Hobbs hits the spine buster on Jungle Boy, and Swerve looks for the half and half. Luchasaurus hits Jungle Boy with a kick, and Lee and Swerve hit their finisher, but Hobbs breaks the count. Stark strikes Lee with the FTW Championship. Swerve takes care of Hobbs, and then Swerve rolls up Jungle Boy for another 2 count. But then Christian Cage also gets a save by pulling Ricky Starks off the ring because he was, again, bringing the FTW Championship into the equation. Jungle Boy hits a Poison Rana, and Jurassic Express hit that beautiful, like, flipping finisher. I forget what it's called. And then this is enough for them to retain the tag championships. That was a lot. And a lot happened in this match. So, again, not doing it justice by explaining what happened. Go out and watch the match. It was awesome. I'm not upset with the outcome here. Honestly, any outcome would have been awesome. Lee and Swerve got a lot more to do as a team. I like them as a team. Don't change that. I like Hobbs and Stark here. I mean, they've been doing good tag team work as well. I know both of those guys deserve individual gold, but I think tag team feels kind of right for them right now. So maybe those guys are up next in line in order to get the tag championships. So good stuff here. I'm surprised the tag team titles went second to last, but that means that it is time for the main event. AEW World Championship, CM Punk versus Adam Hangman Page. Whew. Man. They face off in the center of the ring. Hangman pushes off and they lock up. Punk pushes Adam to the on the ropes. Hangman drives Punk to the corner. They lock up again. Punk delivers a chop and Page returns it. They continue with the chop and Punk goes for the headlock into the ropes. Crowd is very lively for this match. They were lively for the previous match. They were even more lively for this one. And it's definitely a 50-50 split between Hangman and CM Punk. They run the ropes and Hangman strikes him down. They run them again and it's stopped by a strike exchange. And then Punk drives Page into the corner. They run the ropes again and then CM Punk tackles Page down. They lock up and they end up in the corner, and then Page gets more shots in the corner. Page chops Punk in the same corner, and then Punk responds with his own. They run the ropes, and then Punk hits the midsection, and then a crossbody, but only manages to get a pin for one. Punk body slams Page twice, and then the crowd boo Punk. Another body slam by Punk, and Punk looks for the crossbody again, but Hangman rolls it out into a fallaway slam and then kips up. The crowd again is 50-50, but a lot of it is like boos towards each other. Punk rolls out, but then Page gets a springboard crossbody on the outside. Page drives Punk into the barricade and pushes Punk's head into the steel steps. Page rolls in Punk and taunts and gets booed and then gets cheered. Punk tries to run the ropes, but Page gets in a rolling elbow. Punk gets thrown down pretty much like a ragdoll because Hangman has like most of the control of the match. Hangman looks confused at the crowd because there's a lot of boos, but there's a lot of cheers at the same time by the crowd. And then chops get in on Punk in the corner and then sends him to the opposite corner. FU chants start, and then cowboy shit chants start, and Page looks for the buckshot, and then Punk strikes Page off the apron. Punk charges Page and gets pop-up powerbombed into the apron. Then Hangman hits a flying lariat and sends Punk to the outside again, so this is when they had come back into the ring. Page looks for a moonsault, but then Punk tries to turn it into a suplex and hits it, but can't get a pinfall due to exhaustion. They exchange strike, and Punks get the better of it. They run the ropes, and then Punk gets a lariat into a knee strike in the corner, and then turns it into a bulldog. Punk looks for the springboard lariat and gets it. The fans boo, and then Punk tries for the sharpshooter, but Page escapes. Punk looks for the GTS, but it's dodged. But Punk gets in a neck breaker off of a reversal of the reversal. Punk goes to the top rope, but Hangman strikes him down. Page hits a Orihara moonsault and brings Punk back into the ring and looks for buckshot lariat, but Punk turns it into a sharpshooter. Page gets a rope break, and then Punk looks for the ugliest buckshot lariat ever and misses. Page reverses into the GTS and misses. A roundhouse kick by Punk, and Punk hits the ugliest, the new ugliest buckshot lariat ever. And then, but Page is able to get a Deadeye for 2. Page signals for GTS and almost gets it, but Punk answers with a roundhouse kick. But Page still hits the GTS for 2. CM Punk and cowboy shit chants start all over the arena. They exchange uppercut strikes, and then Page delivers a boot. Then Punk delivers his own boot. Both go to the top of the rope. Then after the top rope maneuver, Page like shows off the AEW championship. Oh yeah, because after the maneuver, Page throws him into like the bell keepers area, shows off the AEW championship. Says he's never going to hold it. He looks for buckshot lariat, but then he is rolled into GTS. And then Punk with him in the fireman's carry position kind of spins looking for the GTS and then hits the referee with Hangman's boots. They take out the ref. Page finishes like the buckshot lariat that he was trying to attempt, and the ref is pretty much out. Page looks at the belt that he's now moved near the ring corner, picks it up, is looking at it, is trying to make a decision whether or not he wants to win in a heel fashion, then throws it, not out of the ring, but he just kind of throws it down in the ring, looks for the buckshot lariat and misses. Punk counters into the GTS and wins the AEW championship. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty angry. angry that Punk won the title. Why? I don't know. I felt like this was kind of Hangman's time. And I felt like we were going to start to like transition into an era where it was just like new stars. Do I appreciate CM Punk being here, doing everything he can for the young guys? Yes. And someone brought up the point that CM Punk is getting a lot older. There is not much time window for him to be a world champion and carry a company. So in hindsight of everything that I've read online, all the arguments that I've seen, I'm trying to consider both sides. I understand the people who are upset at this decision. I was upset too. But after hearing what I heard and going back and seeing the character work that they're trying to do on Adam Hangman Page, I'm fine with it. Do I think that this is going to lead into something where it's kind of like the Undisputed Elite teaming up with Hangman, or, you know, Hangman kind of helping out Bullet Club, since we're going to get this whole Forbidden Door thing? Possibly. I think it would be very interesting. Hangman is going to turn heel, and I'm here for it, because it's sort of paralleling some of the story beats that we had when, well, AEW didn't have them, but when Kenny was transitioning from, you know, being the guy at DDT to being in the shadow of Ibushi, to being his own person, not being able to find that success, and then finally finding it by becoming heel. And I see the similar story beats here. Page is now in the shadow of Punk after losing to him, and now they're going to build him up as a heel. This is starting to like become, Page's story has a lot of Kenny Omega vibes to his storyline, which I'm appreciating, but at the same time I've also kind of seen them. Do I think that this was the right decision at the end of the day? Well, we'll have to see. You'll have to ask me in about 6 months, because it feels like a lot of the pay-per-view was used to build up stars that were already built up. So in this case, CM Punk won. He did not need the championship. Adam Hangman Page needed the championship. Jurassic Express, the one thing that, yes, they cemented these guys, but, you know, Swerve and Lee are on the up and up. They've never really gotten a chance to shine anywhere outside from NXT. Team Taz, they probably needed it, but they're also doing fine without it. Another good decision was the Jericho stuff. I mean, you got to build those guys up. Blackpool Combat Club is over already. I still feel like they're dropping the ball with Santana and Ortiz, but I feel like that's maybe a bias for me being like Hispanic. But I have also heard a lot of complaints that they're also dropping the ball with Santana and Ortiz from other people. Deeb and Rosa, strong showing. I'm happy with what happened here. Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby Allin. Did I skip over this? Well, it was somewhat unmemorable, and I don't think that this should have been on the show to begin with. The Owen Cup Finals, I felt like it should have been used to build up someone new, and they didn't really do that. But I understand for marketing purposes that they wanted, you know, Britt and Adam to be the winners of this, because it looks good. It looks good on the trophy. It looks good on, you know, whatever like social media thing that they're gonna do. You know, promoting the Owen Foundation. I know they do some research on, you know, wrestling stuff. So I don't know the whole extent of it, but I know it's a non-profit, and, you know, that's just those two are gonna be the poster boys for that for a while. You know, Death Triangle House of Black probably shouldn't have been on the card either. Jade Cargil and Anna Jay shouldn't have been on the card. You know, Bucks, Hardy Bros, that deserve to be on the card here. And MJF and Wardlow, they should have just gotten more time. This should have just been a classic match, and it wasn't because of the drama outside. This is, in my opinion, not the greatest pay-per-view that they've ever done. I think it's honestly the worst one that I've seen. It just went on way too long. Some of the important matches were missing story beats to them. So like the women's championship was missing a lot of build-up. They delivered, but they delivered in the match, but the build towards the match was kind of weak. It was very fastly built. Like they should have taken a lot more time. Hangman Adam Page and CM Punk. At the moment, I feel like it's still the wrong decision to have CM Punk as a champion, but I could be wrong. In 6 months from now, I could be saying, you know what, that summer of Punk 2022 was worth it. So yeah, nothing much else to say here. I mean, for the $50 that you're paying on BR Live, it was definitely worth it. I mean, if you had it on cable, like, good for you, man. That 4K quality is, I'm assuming it's 4K on cable, but it's not something we get on the internet. I think we only get like 1080p. So, good show. Overall, I mean, as far as like the show itself, some of the story beats though, I'm a little lost. I don't know where the company is going after this. They have the Forbidden Door pay-per-view that needs to be built up in less than a month, I think. But I think that's still going to be awesome. And it's already sold out. It already sold out in Chicago, so that should be good. All right, coverage for New Japan Pro Wrestling that I've been promising. It's just been coming really hard because now they're doing like 3-hour blocks with both blocks mixed in. It's hard to keep up. It's hard to take notes for 3 hours every day and then crank out a video. I probably will not cover any more of the Super Juniors. And it sucks because I know that G1 Climax is 2 months away from now, and I want to cover that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to cover that, but I think I'm definitely going to have to change the style in which I cover it. Maybe I do like a once a week type video where I cover the best of what happened between those matches, because I really want to sit down and just enjoy the tournament, but I feel like that's not something like that's happening for me personally. It feels like I'm doing a lot of like work that doesn't translate into like, I guess, the response that I'm getting from it, because the AEW Dynamite reviews are doing far better than the Super Junior reviews. But I mean, I understand it. It's just different time zones and stuff like that. So let me know if you want to see the Super Juniors coverage continue. As far as right now, I think I'm not gonna cover it anymore. I'll be watching it. I'll tweet out some stuff on my own personal Twitter. Follow me at Zephyr the Scribe. You could probably find it off of the Jolie Podcast Twitter. I sometimes retweet myself. But yeah, good pay-per-view. Super Juniors coverage maybe at the end of the week. And we're heading into Forbidden Door, so I'll try to keep up with New Japan Pro Wrestling. There is a video regarding the Kota Ibushi situation coming up. There's a lot of drama going on there, and it's something that needs to be covered. I'm trying to wait it out to get as much info as possible, but I'm gonna start working on the video probably Wednesday or Thursday, and by Friday you should have a recap of everything that's happened as far as the Kota Ibushi situation. So I'll keep you updated on that. For Joseph Yanez, this was the AEW Double or Nothing review. I will see you next time.